Nice. Welcome to Soccer Talk, a podcast about soccer in Iowa, presented by Kick It Forward. Kick It Forward is a local nonprofit organization that strives to be a positive disruptor to the Iowa soccer community.
Among other things, we promote accessibility, diversity, and integration at the grassroots level.
Check out our website at www.kifsoccer.com or look us up on social media. This podcast is distributed on multiple platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, even Stitcher for Luke Freeberg. Plus, you can watch it on your YouTube. What can I read? Plus, you can watch it on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. We're your co-hosts, Ben Brackett and Blake Sievers, and we are here to talk soccer.
Don't get a riff. That's right, Ben. All soccer, all the time. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. I'm Ben Brackett, your co-host here with my good buddy Blake Sievers. Sieves, what's up?
Good morning here. Good morning to be alive in the lair talking soccer.
That's right. It is it's fall. It's definitely here, isn't it, Sieves? The weatherman would be remiss if he didn't give us a little update on the weather.
Yeah, so obviously, so today, just for full transparency, is Monday. We got the monsoon yesterday on Sunday where it rained basically nonstop for 26 hours.
Not good.
But going back a little bit, we covered the Grandview Missouri Valley game of the week, and complete opposite. What an absolute gorgeous day for soccer here in Des Moines.
Yes, sir. It was a little chilly, but beautiful day out at Cownie. And we went out to watch our good friends over at Grandview, the men's program, helmed by the famed Blair Reed. Watch them take on number 8, Missouri Valley College.
Yeah, kind of defending NAIA champions, current coach of the year in NAIA and player of the year, Missouri Valley hosted. So big, strong program, preseason ranked number 1. We thought it'd be a good little game.
And it definitely was. We were talking about, well, we ended up going to catch another game afterwards, and the difference in the intensity, especially in the first half, that Grandview game, I mean, it was pretty fiery, wasn't it?
It was like good little atmosphere from the crowd, some students there, but yeah, it was intense, and tackles were flying, and I'm sure we'll get into that, but it was good atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, Grandview coming into the game, having a pretty good season. I think they're receiving votes, so they're they also play in like the hardest conference in the country, right?
Yeah, and I think their results, like, they haven't beat anybody they shouldn't beat, but they beat everybody they should have. So, which I'm sure is a little frustrating on both ends, or at least not being able to kind of knock off the so-called favorite.
Yeah, exactly. When it's funny, you look at like Missouri Valley, their conference record is 8-3-0, which is crazy to think that, like, one of the a perennial powerhouse with you said even their senior number 10, what was his name, Luka Glucevic, you said he was player of the year, reigning player of the year, and so you just sort of to think that a team like that they're still losing 3 and 4 games a season it's crazy, but it just probably goes to show you how strong that conference is.
Yeah, I mean, they've got Central Methodist, who I think is number 1 currently and has been a power the last 5 years. And then you got Baker, I think it's a top 25 school. And then it's interesting, right? You got Graceland, it's always an Iowa battle, for at least for Grandview.
Absolutely. That's the Heart of America Conference, right? So let's get into the action a little bit, Sieves. I was busy celebrating a championship that I had nothing to do with for Imperio, just down the street. And so I was a little late to kick off, but you didn't seem super surprised.
That's a typical day that ends in Y. Time, never. But yeah, so Grandview started out actually on the front foot big time. Aaron Williams, Valley product, was absolutely a horse there for Grandview. He was in on goal 3 times in the first, I think, 20 minutes, 1v1. And it's got to be super frustrated because he didn't score one of them. Went near post on one good last chance tackle by one of the Missouri Valley boys, then just missed the third one. So I mean, one time he literally put his head down with the ball at his feet, ran through, around, and past 3 Missouri Valley players to get it on goal. Like I was like, holy cow, this boy is gonna score a hat trick and then gonna be a handful all game. And I don't know how far we're gonna jump ahead, but unfortunately, after those first 20 minutes,
well, he didn't score a hat trick, is your point.
Yeah, he didn't score any of them. But put himself in dangerous situations and showed kind of the potential, how dynamic he is. But that last little piece was missing.
Talk a little bit about the substitutions too, Siebes, because I know we were, you made the comment that like they started a group of guys that, played about 15 minutes and then maybe 20 minutes and then flipped it. And then those guys then came back out at the beginning of the second half is what we saw. So it was just sort of interesting how they were rotating the squad around a little bit, right?
Yes, I mean, one of the friend of the pod, Gavin Defshamal, right, kind of played out there as a right winger in the first half, like you said, first 20, maybe 25 minutes, and then him and 2 other boys, the local product,
The right back or
no, Will Curtis.
Oh, Will Curtis, yeah.
From Waukee,
He came on
as a sub.
Yeah, he was number 25, right?
Yeah.
He did really well.
Yeah, freshman was dynamic, Purdue created some chances. But so Nev Shamal and like 2 other guys came off. Will Curtis and 2 other guys came on. The Curtis and his group finished the first half. So what, last 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, and then started the second half and played the first, what do you think, 20, 25 minutes, something like that.
Yeah,
and
right
then,
about.
Nev Shamal came back on. So it was interesting. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it, but we just definitely caught our eye.
Yep, for sure. And then, their back 4 pretty strong as well. We were giving a shout out to Cade Longnecker during the game. He's a Johnston boy, isn't he, Steves?
Not Johnston High School.
Okay,
He's a Waukee boy.
That's right. That's true. Fair enough. But he played really well right back.
Yeah, Gravy's had a few Johnston boys. Sam Graving back in the day, but not Cade Longnecker.
Fair enough. I always get that mixed up because he played for Johnston club. But anyway, so they were good. I think I enjoyed watching them. That left back also, I mean, we'd be too bad if we didn't mention his awesome play to clear the ball off the line, just super brave to come back, if you remember that.
Yeah, Diego Leite, senior for Grandview, left back, who had a little thing on his hand. And
yeah, man, he came charging back to grab this one off the line. And I think, that was down. This isn't the second half, I guess, at this point. So we've jumped ahead a little bit. So before we talk about
this is in shambles, aren't we now?
Well, we didn't outline this one very well. Let's talk a little bit about your right when we were walking up to, let's talk about the big
okay,
moment.
so we talked kind of sequentially. We talked Aaron Williams getting on goal quite a few times, and the end of the first half kind of getting near and not really much action otherwise, pretty even game. And
we were heading over for our halftime interviews,
which we didn't tell either coach about ahead of time again. So sorry guys, but thanks for letting us surprise you and giving us some time. So what we walk over, we're standing behind, right in between both benches.
Yep.
And it kicks off, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I don't know, I didn't see what actually happened. It looked like the ball went out and then there were 2 players. I know it was the number 10, for Missouri Valley. I don't recall.
Was it Will Curtis? I thought,
because now you say it, I do remember it was 25. So they sort of square up and I don't know. So apparently there was a headbutt, there was maybe a little jab. It was hard to say, but there was a lot of action then after that.
Yeah, so it was interesting, right? Ben, you said the ball is out for a throw in front of Grandview's bench. And then all of a sudden this kicks off kind of in front of the Missouri Valley bench. And I mean, we got Blair Reed, like I've never seen a man move so quick.
Yeah, Blair ran onto the field. This was also, it was a little funny from our standpoint because it was a bit of a who's who of sort of like soccer legends. You had Aziz Afar running the line. Al Driscoll and Blair Reed, long time Grandview guys. And then I thought it was hilarious too, because then you got Chris Civitat running the center, and Chris has been around, same thing, like forever, but he's definitely the junior to all those personalities out there, and he was having to take control. I thought he did really well. I would have been really frustrated if I was him too, because there was just like, you don't have VAR. There's no way to figure out exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean, clearly everybody can agree something happened because Missouri Valley wasn't really talking at all, which to me means they were clearly part of the guilty party. So I think, is it fair to say, after talking to everybody at halftime and hearing everything, it sounds like Curtis may have jabbed the Missouri Valley boy a little bit in the belly.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, he poked him or pinched him, I don't know what. And Missouri Valley boy headbutted him, but in the shoulder.
Yes.
And he went down like,
he grabbed his face,
yeah.
It looked like. And so it was just, then there was all sorts of stuff going on. So anyway, Civitat does well to get everybody calmed down. Eventually, gave Al a yellow card, probably deservedly. And Al actually said, "Yeah, I'll take that." So it was pretty. Yeah, it was a little bit of comedy for us because again, knowing all the parties involved and how long they've been around. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and we're neutral, right? Like, I'm glad nobody got sent off because it made for a great game. You know, if somebody gets sent off, it kind of changes complexion, I think, or potentially could have. I'm sure Grandview doesn't care. They would have had that boy go off because he ultimately scored the equalizer. But
yeah, and I think that's what's interesting. I think at the least maybe a yellow card for both parties for just being involved. Like just, hey, you're at the scene of the crime, take a yellow card, and you should be thankful that I'm not just blindly giving you a red card. But interesting too that like the far side linesman didn't have anything to like add to the conversation either. It was just between Aziz and Civitat.
Yeah, like it was happening a little bit behind the play too. So I mean, for Civitat's fairness to him, like he's not looking
of course
down the line where it happened. And again, it happened right in front of Missouri Valley, and for them to like just say, "Hey guys, shut up, stop talking." Like,
so you'll have to check out our stories that are going to get posted here, because
maybe we should post them on the day this drops.
Maybe we should. Listen. Yeah, there you go. We'll post them then. But super funny because Blair Reed is a pretty gregarious guy, and so he came out and he he just told the stories. He saw it, kind of basically like good little interview. It was pretty open, jovial about it. And then we go over to the Missouri Valley coach, and he was buttoned up. I mean, there's probably a reason he's a really good coach, because he didn't take any bait. He just like moved right on and was like, okay, yeah. I mean, it was funny.
It was definitely different tale with two different interviews.
Yes.
And to be fair, we call out Blair literally right after this happened. Didn't give him much of a chance to gather his thoughts, which was great. And Missouri Valley boy Sermich, I mean, he had 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we come to the very tail end. And again, he was reserved throughout the match, calm, even keel, at least from what we saw.
Yeah. Well, and it would probably go to tell you that they've been in their fair share of scraps, tough games, away games, where they got to get some points. And so sequentially, let's move on to the second half, because that was, once the second half started, it felt like there was a little of the edge came off the game. There's a little more, less tackles flying in and a little more soccer being played.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, which ultimately resulted in 2 goals within 2 minutes of each other.
Yeah. Grandview had been definitely knocking, definitely making making a case for themselves. And again, it's still that first group of players it's on, right, Steves, at that point? Or was it this? I don't recall. Oh no, this is after the substitution, right? Because this is like 75th minute, 74th minute, something like that. So anyway, you got an Aaron Williams ball coming into the box. Joe, I say his last name for me, Steve, Street,
something like that. I mean, the blonde, big, strong Norwegian boy.
Yep.
Number 6.
And Aaron Williams absolutely pings the ball across from the right flank. And
Joe, what a ball, by the way. He smashed it at him from 35 yards away.
Yeah, and Joe basically had to like all he had to do is get his head on it, but he almost had to like cushion it, and it was still a bullet header that hits the post, and then looks like it must have hit the goalkeeper in the back of the head and gone in that way, potentially. It was really tough to tell, but it was a great goal.
Yeah, definitely hit the post, and then something happened. You're right, it was down at the other end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously then it was a little delayed reaction, right? Nobody really knew what happened. And then all of a sudden the boys run into the fans.
And credit to Aziz Safar, he was on the end line to see if it went in or not. And he ran
Yeah, but
He
it's
ran with
funny.
purpose.
We were all looking, right? And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you see as he's sprinting towards the half line, like, all right,
Yeah.
it's a goal.
Yep. Yeah. So he did well there. Good from all around from our local guys there.
This is
but
interesting now, Ben, because we were like, because I was like, hey, let's like do a little half in-game update with the goal. And I remember what you said, because fortune teller, you goes, hey, let's wait. It seems like
there's more coming.
sure enough.
Yeah. And so, I mean, literally like 2 minutes later, action in front of our goal and, or down on our end, I guess is the right way to say that. And, Luka Glucevic on the spot to equalize, make it 1-1.
Yeah, I think a bit of a corner kick, so a bit of a goalkeeper error, right? He's come out, shouted for it, didn't get it. Nobody.
And it wasn't a corner kick. Remember, it was
a free kick
from wide, and it was
That's right.
It was funny because Grandview was sort of, you could tell they relaxed. I don't remember who committed the foul, but it was not a smart foul, and it was within like a range of like just not. It was a dangerous place to give up a free kick. Let's put it that way, right? And drop the ball in nicely, just right on top. And the goalkeeper, he kind of got caught in no man's land, didn't he?
Yeah, nobody covered, right? Nobody ran back from Greenway to the line. But 1-1, and all of a sudden the game on again.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny because it seemed like when that happened, we both kind of looked at each other and we were like, this is staying 1-1, right? Like there was no doubt about that. It just was gonna, it was going to overtime.
Yeah, probably a fair result at that point, right? 1-1, like
yeah, agreed.
Fair.
But then soccer's a cruel game, isn't it, Siebes?
It is. So within 2 minutes.
Yeah. So at the end of the game, we
No,
walk,
I wasn't gonna tell everybody.
we walk halfway around the field just to go see if we can take a peek at the Drake game. To Drake the Loyal was going on in the adjacent field, and before we know it, we turn around and look back, and it was over like 2 minutes in. Tom Preston for Missouri Valley College with the winner, and it was funny because it was real quiet, and we didn't even, you didn't even know you wouldn't have known it happened if you didn't like go look.
Yeah, which is fair, right? Disheartening for Grandview being in it, playing against that quality of an opponent, and unfortunately not taking any points.
No, and I think it's funny because not funny, but I'd be frustrated, I guess is the way to say it. If you think about, they score, they're in control. 2 minutes later, they give up a goal. So that's one of those, we've talked about the first 5, last 5. Those are like pretty important moments in the game to make sure that you don't give up a goal. But after you score is also one of those, like the first 5 minutes.
5.
Yeah, exactly. The next 5 after that, like that's probably the most important 5 minutes you're going to have. And if you give up a goal and get punched right, but punch in the mouth, it's going to be tough. And I think that must have taken a little bit out of them. And then they go in overtime. And I mean, again, first 5 of overtime.
Yeah, so I think obviously not the result Grandview wanted. Missouri Valley probably's got to feel confident or lucky a little bit coming out of there. One thing I'll say, it's kind of interesting looking at the rosters. One, what an influx of Iowa boys on Grandview. It's pretty cool. We got Nev Shamal, the Gutierrez brothers, which we didn't even talk about, played, I think, all 93 minutes of the game, maybe.
Yeah, they were both good.
Curtis was in there, long necker, like you had mentioned. So there's obviously a few more Iowa boys that didn't get into the game for Grandview, but pretty cool seeing that many Iowa guys have an impact at that high of a level against that quality of an opponent compared to Missouri Valley, who literally didn't have one American on their roster. So just something interesting.
Yeah, fair enough. So then let's just quick chat about what we did after that, and then we'll button it up. But we should give a quick shout out to Blair Reed and Coach Simich from Missouri Valley, because they're very generous with letting us, just pop right in, especially after all couldn't have been timed better with all the action. So they're both very good sports there.
Great. So
right. Oh, and good shout out to the refs, right? As well.
That's right. Yeah, we hammer them sometimes, and so give them praise when they've done well.
Yep. So then let's so then we just like buzzed over to catch the second half of the Drake men's game. They were hosting Loyola, the Loyola Ramblers from Chicago, and so we joined a good friend of the pod, Tanner Krause, over there, and Loyola alumni. It's a bit of a was a contrast in games, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe it's from where we were sitting, maybe because the game was already out of hand, like, even though it really wasn't out of reach score wise, I think clearly from what we saw, it wasn't a competitive game, unfortunately.
No. So if you, when we talk about the Grandview game, we were talking about how, fire it was, and, there's a lot going on. What was the score we got over there? It was 2-0. It was only 1-0. So yeah, and that's right. So right as we were finishing up, trying to walk over, we hear a goal get scored over on the Loyola Drake field, and you could tell it wasn't a massive celebration, but it was still excited. So we assumed it was Loyola because we assumed there wouldn't be that many fans there. But we got over there, and there's probably like equal Drake fans and Loyola fans,
which is not great.
No,
from a Drake alum and a Des Moines soccer fan, because there was not many people at the game.
No. So we anyway had a nice time chatting with Mr. Kraus, and taking in the second half. Loyola, basically just like it ended up being 3-0, but it could have been more. Looked like they got some of their freshmen in the game. They looked like a pretty good team actually, but there wasn't a lot going on from a lot of fight from the Drake boys. They looked, I don't know, just uninspired.
Yeah, they got battered, which they did. It wasn't great. That they did have that Braden Allen boy was for Drake, played kind of on the left wing. He was really, really good. But other than that, it was I don't know. I'm sure Gareth and Kyle aren't thrilled, and clearly the boys I wouldn't either, because it was just uninspiring and not great.
No, but
season's not over.
That's true. And they've got basically once you get to that conference tournament, you still got a chance to make it, right? So hopefully things can turn around and they can take that as a I don't know, some encouragement. What next?
Free clinics. We got one last one, which this drops Friday tomorrow in Clive. We had a request to
I saw that
one last one, Ben. So we'll be out in Clive 9 a.m. Get those October plays of the month in, and holiday party November 20th. What else am I forgetting or missing?
Just keep your eyes peeled for some pretty fun unveilings coming up. We're take a little trip east to Marion to open our first mini pitch on the east side of the state, and then we are going to do
two more
in Des Moines. Yeah, we got one. We're going to do one over at Hoover High and Perry Elementary School. When are we doing Oak Ridge, Steve's?
I think for too long it'll be done.
Good.
So 3 I guess in the metro area.
Yeah, so just keep your eyes peeled for those. We'll make sure we keep you updated on that. Thanks again for joining us, and
put us out on a good scene in Ben.
Okay, Steve's. You can get moving.